Everybody, I'm still Jason Salas. Thank you for watching KUM News Extra. If you're streaming us on YouTube or Facebook or watching us on KUM TV, I have two lovely ladies on the KUM couch right now. We have Briana and Sybil, and we are talking about speech pathology. Is it exactly, ladies, or services for people who would need hearing difficulty
Hearing
resources?
and speech problems, yes.
Yeah, it's a very long title. So
yeah, speech language pathologist and or audiologist.
yeah, I have many friends who are in that field, and I was like, better you than me, because the people in that field are very compassionate. They're very talented, and they're very learned and everything. So maybe just set us up with a little bit of the context about how big of a community on Guam there is to avail of those services.
Well, there are a lot of therapists available, mostly in the Guam Department of Education, to service the children who are in the public schools and private as well, to help them with their speech and language needs. There are less available outside of Guam DOE. Sybil is a part of that.
Both GMH and where I work, GRMC, we have speech pathologists to take care of swallowing. Lots of times if you have a stroke, it affects your swallow, and you start making it, when you swallow, it goes into your airway instead of your stomach. So we try to rule that out and make sure everybody is swallowing right. If they're not, we give them therapy to restore their swallow. And then we also offer speech and language services, sometimes to children and sometimes to adults who've had strokes also that affect their speech or language skills.
That is something that a very good friend of mine, my friend Rich Tamunda, shout out to Rich out there. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with Richard, but yeah, but he is a speech pathologist, my teammate from like way back in the volleyball days. But he said that as a pathologist, he went to school, to help people with like hearing loss, speech impediment. But he said there are a lot of people who, like you said, Sybil, people that have suffered from strokes or things like that. There are systems in the body that have to recover and everything. So that must be a tremendous amount of work here on Guam, because stroke is a very big problem for us.
Yes, and it is a big problem for adults. Yes.
Okay.
And our profession ranges all the way from birth to death, and every age and disorder in between. So we cover a lot of area with our profession.
Certainly, so. And I know many people in that profession, and they don't have a lot of free time. Yeah, there's a lot of work to go around. So how many people exist in that community of healthcare providers and professionals?
In Guam or worldwide?
Or just specifically for Guam?
We have about, around 20, later 20s or 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a very small, distinct, and elite.
That includes speech-language pathologists, fully licensed, and also speech-language pathology assistants that are licensed, but they need a supervisor to conduct.
Okay, so maybe to get the word out about what you do and perhaps recruit even more people, as I understand it, you have an outreach event that's coming up.
Yes, so Sybil and I are both members of the Marianas Alliance of Speech and Hearing Professionals. We're just a group of speech pathologists and audiologists that come together. We collaborate to kind of grow as professionals, and we are reaching out to the community on May 25th at the GPO. From 10 to 2. We're just there to give information regarding early detection of speech and hearing. Actually, it's across the lifespan. So we will have information starting at children who are young, early intervention services, and how to detect an early sign of speech and hearing impairment, or speech and language impairment, excuse me, and all the way down from to adolescent to the adult population where Sybil works.
I'm sure maybe is part of your scope of work, I would assume, also is not just things that you're born with, and maybe hearing difficulty that you had literally since birth, but maybe also like due to injury or kids are always wearing big Beats headphones these days and everything like that. Do you get a lot of that work as well for accrued?
People have blasted their hearing out from too loud sounds.
Yeah, and I grew up in the '80s, so I know all about that.
But
I've been to a few concerts.
Definitely TBI, traumatic brain injury, motor vehicle accidents, that can also cause problems. Progressive neurological diseases, the litigo-bodig, and things like that, dementia.
Okay. If people, for young people watching this right now, they may be in medical fields or, what types of backgrounds typically attract or draw people to, your line of work? Because I'm sure it runs the gamut. Psychology, perhaps.
Yes.
That's an interesting question. Do you mean who do we work with?
Yeah, or like what types of people, like if they have a certain background, are they still able to get into your line of work, or do they have to specifically be, you know,
Oh, no.
they have to go the medical school route?
No, it's not medical school. You get your bachelor's and then you get your master's in speech. And then you have to take a test with the American Speech and Hearing Association and pass that. And then you have to also work 9 months under somebody who's already certified by ASHA before you can be fully certified by ASHA.
Okay.
And as speech pathologists, we do work with those other professionals that you were saying. We do work closely with them as well. So.
Yeah, your job skills, and I'm sure your LinkedIn profiles must be like a mile long. 'Cause certainly, it's a very multidisciplinary profession to have.
Yes.
So what has it taught you working in this field?
Patience. And that communication. The biggest part of this field that I've learned is that there are so many ways to communicate. Everyone just thinks, you know, verbal is the only way you can communicate. But if you look at our children who are nonverbal, who have autism and can't really speak the way you and I are speaking right now, there's so many alternatives to speaking. There, you know, the iPads that speak for you, these picture symbols that you can give, and that's also what our event is also going to try to showcase are some alternative means of communication that the community may not be aware of that can really help some loved ones who are struggling.
Okay, well, ladies, we do have to go to commercial break, but we thank you for your insight. We thank you what you do for our community, and we'll see you there at the event because we're going to make sure to cover it for you because we want to help get the word out.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, and thank you for watching, but don't go anywhere because we're right back after this, so please stay tuned.